In 1986, a young deputy sheriff answered a late-night call near the old dam. She climbed into her patrol car and vanished. Hours later, search teams combed the area. They found her radio, her jacket, even a boot, but no sign of her cruiser. And no sign of her. Whispers spread fast. Some said she ran away. Others swore she was silenced because she knew too much. But there was one detail nobody could explain. If she crashed, where was the car? For 18 years, the dam kept it secret. Until one day, a diver slipped beneath the dark water and froze at what his light revealed. Stay with me because this story only gets darker from here. And at the end, I'll ask you, was this an accident or something far more sinister? Make sure you hit like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It's the summer of 1986 in a quiet rural county. Everyone in town knows Deputy Sheriff Linda Carter. She's 32 years old, tough but kind, and has been with the department for almost 10 years. Linda isn't just another deputy. She's the one neighbors trust to show up when there's trouble. Kids wave when she drives by. Older residents say they feel safer knowing she's on patrol. That Friday night, Linda arrives at the sheriff's office just before sunset. She clocks in like always, signs her name on the duty sheet and grabs her radio. For her, it's just another routine shift. Her coworkers notice she seems calm, even cheerful. She jokes with another deputy about the long weekend coming up. She mentions she'll swing by her parents' house after work for breakfast in the morning. Around 9:00 p.m., Linda heads out to her patrol car. It's a white Ford LTD Cruiser, freshly washed, with the department logo on the door. She adjusts the rearview mirror, checks the gas, and sets out into the night. Her patrol route takes her through the usual spots: the quiet highway, the edge of town, the farm roads. Nothing unusual, just another night keeping watch. Nobody knows that these are the last normal hours of her life. By sunrise, Linda will be missing, and her town will never look the same again. At 11:27 p.m., the sheriff's office receives a call. A man reports strange noises and possible trespassers near the Old River Dam outside of town. It's not considered an emergency, just a disturbance. The dispatcher radios Deputy Carter. Linda responds immediately, her voice calm and professional. She acknowledges the call, then says she's on her way. She turns her cruiser down the long rural road toward the dam. The road is dark, lit only by her headlights. The dam itself is decades old, crumbling concrete, rusted guardrails, and deep water rushing below. It's the kind of place teens sometimes sneak out to at night, but also a spot with a dangerous reputation. At 11:40 p.m., Linda radios in again. Unit 12 en route to dam, checking disturbance. Her voice sounds steady. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. That's the last time anyone hears from her. Minutes later, another deputy tries to reach her on the radio. No reply. They call again. Still nothing. At first, they assume she's busy handling the situation. Maybe she's talking to locals or checking the area. But as the minutes turn into an hour, concern grows. Other deputies drive out to the dam to back her up. When they arrive, there's no sign of Linda. Her cruiser is gone. No flashing lights. No footprints. Nothing. By dawn, a full search is underway. Deputies comb the roads, the dam, and the riverbanks. Helicopters sweep overhead, but it's like she vanished into thin air. The last clear fact anyone has. Deputy Linda Carter answered a routine disturbance call, drove toward the dam, and was never seen alive again. At first, dispatch doesn't panic. It's common for deputies to go a few minutes without answering. Maybe she's talking to someone. Maybe her radio cut out. But by midnight, things feel different. The dispatcher calls again. Unit 12 status check. Silence. They try again. Still nothing. Now other deputies start checking in, asking if anyone's heard from Linda. The answer is the same, no. By 12:30 a.m., the mood inside the sheriff's office changes. Radios are usually full of chatter, but now everyone is listening for Linda, and she isn't there. One deputy decides to drive out toward the dam, thinking maybe she just lost signal. But when he gets there, the place is dark and empty. No cruiser, no lights, no sign of Linda. Back at the office, the sheriff himself joins the calls. His voice is tense. Unit 12, report, silence. Unit 12, acknowledge, nothing. Hours begin to slip by. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Deputies drive the back roads, shine spotlights into fields, and circle the dam over and over. Still nothing. It's as if Linda has been swallowed by the night. By 3:00 a.m., the sheriff makes it official. Something is wrong. A deputy doesn't just vanish. Not here, not Linda. As word spreads, the first wave of searchers mobilizes. Deputies call in off-duty officers. Volunteers show up with flashlights and trucks. Farmers bring dogs. Everyone heads toward the dam. The night is pitch black. Flashlights sweep across the crumbling concrete and the water below. The river is loud, roaring against the dam. Every shadow looks suspicious. Linda, they shout into the darkness. Deputy Carter. But the only answer is rushing water. They check the guardrails. They check the service road. They search the brush and the banks, but there's no cruiser, no skid marks, no broken glass. The sheriff orders a sweep of the nearby woods. Volunteers spread out in a line, flashlights cutting through trees. Still nothing. The search drags on until dawn. The first sunlight spills across the dam, and the truth becomes harder to ignore. Linda is gone. People look at each other with fear. This wasn't just a missed call. This wasn't just bad radio. Something bigger has happened. For the first time, the sheriff allows the word no one wants to say. Missing. Morning turns the dam area into a hive of activity. Deputies, troopers, and volunteers spread out in every direction. Now it isn't just a missing officer, it's a search for evidence. That's when one deputy spots something half buried in the dirt near a tree line. He bends down, brushes away mud, and freezes. It's Linda's jacket. The sheriff inspects it. The fabric is dirty but not torn. No blood, just lying there like it was dropped in a hurry. A few yards farther, another deputy calls out. In the grass lies a broken police radio. The casing is cracked, antenna bent. Dispatch confirms Linda's radio never came back online. This is it. The search intensifies. People move slower now, careful, scanning the ground inch by inch. Then someone finds a boot, a woman's black work boot, lying on its side near the roadside ditch. It matches Linda's uniform. Now panic spreads. One piece of clothing is strange. Two is alarming. But three items, jacket, radio, and boot, feel like the outline of something darker. Investigators mark the spots, take photographs, and measure distances, but nothing connects neatly. The jacket is on one side of the road. The radio is farther down. The boot is by the ditch. No clear path, no clear story. It looks like a struggle, but with who? And where is the cruiser? Some deputies think she was dragged from her car. Others whisper that maybe she ran from something. But there are no footprints, no tire tracks, just isolated fragments scattered like a cruel puzzle. By the end of the day, the scene is taped off. Reporters gather, pressing for answers. The sheriff tells them only one thing: we are investigating all possibilities. But inside, no one knows what to believe. By afternoon, the sheriff's office delivers the news to Linda's family. Her husband listens in silence, then shakes his head over and over. No, not Linda. That's impossible. Her teenage son stares at the floor, refusing to speak. Her mother breaks down, asking the question no one can answer. How can a deputy vanish in her own county? At the family home, neighbors bring food, but no one eats. Friends arrive with hugs, but there are no words that fit. The family clings to hope, but the scattered clues feel heavy. The sheriff visits personally. He promises, "We're doing everything, we will find her." His voice is steady, but his eyes tell another story. He's just as shaken. That night, Linda's husband drives past the dam himself. He pulls over, steps out, and stares at the flashing lights and searchers in the dark. He whispers, "Where are you, Linda?" For the family, shock begins to turn into disbelief. This isn't a runaway. This isn't an accident. Something unthinkable has happened. And until they know what, they can't rest. By the second day, reporters flood the sheriff's office. Cameras, microphones, and flashing lights turn the quiet town into a scene from a movie. Headlines appear everywhere. Deputy sheriff vanishes near dam, and small town in shock over missing officer. Phones ring constantly. News trucks park along the main street. Neighbors huddle in groups, whispering. Some suggest foul play, a criminal she confronted. Others speculate she ran away, though nobody really believes it. At the diner, people talk in hushed voices. "Do you think someone forced her off the road?" one man asks. "Could it be a cover-up?" replies another. Rumors fly faster than facts. Some say she had secrets she never shared. Others insist she was targeted because of her work. Every theory seems plausible, and none can be proven. Meanwhile, deputies continue their search. Volunteers comb the area. But even as search teams grow, the town feels smaller and darker. Fear replaces the familiar calm of life in this quiet county. At home, her family watches the news in disbelief. Each broadcast repeats the same chilling sentence: Deputy Linda Carter is missing. By nightfall, the story has spread across neighboring towns. Friends, coworkers, and strangers are all asking the same question: how does a deputy just disappear? As days turn into weeks, the search grows wider, but answers remain elusive. Helicopters, dogs, and volunteers cover every inch near the dam, forests, and rivers, yet no sign of Linda appears. The case becomes a shadow over the town. Every conversation eventually circles back to her disappearance. At gas stations, diners, and workplaces, people whisper, "Have you heard anything new about Deputy Carter?" Even after the initial search winds down, the mystery doesn't fade. Old theories linger. People replay what little they know over and over, trying to make sense of it. For her family, every day is a reminder of loss. For her fellow deputies, it's a wound that never fully heals. And for the town, her vanishing becomes a story they tell to newcomers, a tragedy, a warning, and a question with no answer. Her absence doesn't just leave a gap in the sheriff's office. It leaves a mark on everyone who knew her, and even on those who didn't. Linda Carter's name will echo in the town's memory for years to come. The night is dark, but the dam is alive with activity. Search crews have gathered from across the county. Cars with flashing lights line the road. Officers set up floodlights, shining them over the concrete walls and the rushing water below. Helicopters circle above, their spotlights cutting through the night. The whirring blades stir the mist rising from the river. People on the ground squint into the glare, hopping to see the cruiser or any sign of Deputy Carter. Boats wait in the water, engines idling, ready to sweep the riverbanks. Divers prepare their gear, checking oxygen tanks and masks. Every person on the scene knows the stakes. This is no ordinary missing person case. The first sweep begins on foot. Deputies walk the road and edges of the dam, flashlights scanning for footprints, tire tracks, or anything unusual. Volunteers comb the brush, calling her name. Every so often, someone thinks they see something, but it's always just shadows or debris. Time stretches. Hours pass with nothing. The water is silent, hiding whatever secret it holds. No cruiser, no sign of a struggle, just the dam, the river, and the growing unease of everyone searching. People start talking in low voices. Some blame the darkness, the shadows, the water itself. Others whisper theories about what might have happened. Fear grows with each passing minute. By the early morning, the crews regroup. Everyone is exhausted, drenched in sweat or cold from the night air. But there's still nothing. The dam has swallowed the night and its mystery completely. Police dogs are brought in to follow any trail Linda may have left. The handlers give commands and the dogs sniff the ground, noses to the earth, tails alert. At first, it looks promising. The dogs pick up a scent near the road leading to the dam. They pull forward, straining against their leashes. Deputies follow, expecting to find the missing cruiser or any sign of Linda. But then, near the edge of the dam road, the dogs suddenly stop. They sniff the air, confused, then shake their heads and refuse to continue. Handlers try again, guiding them along the path, but it's no use. The scent is gone. Detectives exchange worried glances. A trail usually leads somewhere, to a car, to a house, to a person. But this time, it disappears as if she vanished into thin air. Some begin to speculate. Did she leave the area on foot? Did someone take her? Or did the river somehow wash everything away? No one knows, and every passing moment increases the tension. The handlers try multiple times. letting the dogs work in different directions. Each attempt ends the same way. The trail is lost. Frustration builds. Even the most experienced officers cannot explain how a deputy could disappear without a trace. By midnight, it's clear that the dogs can't help. The search teams regroup, realizing that every lead they hoped for has evaporated. The dam looms over them like a dark secret, hiding what really happened that night. Everyone feels it, the impossibility of the situation. A respected deputy, a trusted officer, is missing. No clues, no car, and now even the dogs cannot track her. By morning, word spreads quickly through the town. Farmers leave their fields. Neighbors drop what they are doing. Strangers arrive from nearby towns. Hundreds of people gather to search for Deputy Linda Carter. They form lines, flashlights in hand, spreading across the fields, the woods, and the back roads. Each person calls her name as they move carefully through brush and uneven terrain. Every shadow seems like it could hold a clue. Some search barns, checking corners and lofts. Others check sheds, abandoned cars, and storage areas. Horses and livestock scatter as volunteers move through pastures, but no one finds any sign of the deputy. People are tense. Faces are pale with worry. Every time a volunteer thinks they see something, a jacket, a shape, or a glint of metal, hope rises, only to fall when it turns out to be nothing. Officers coordinate the volunteers, trying to cover as much ground as possible. Everyone is working tirelessly, knowing the first few hours are critical in any missing person case. But still, the cruiser is nowhere. No footprints, no tracks, no signs of Linda. Whispers ripple through the crowd. Some suggest she ran off. Others fear she was taken. Parents clutch their children closer. Farmers shake their heads, muttering, she wouldn't just disappear. The community grows desperate. This isn't just a deputy. She is someone everyone trusts, someone who has kept them safe for years. The thought that she might not return drives them to search harder, push further, and refuse to leave a single area unchecked. Hours turn into afternoon and exhaustion sets in. Volunteers wipe sweat from their brows, mouths dry from shouting names, legs sore from climbing over fences and walking through rough terrain. Yet, despite all the effort, there's still no trace of the deputy. By evening, the volunteers regroup near the dam, faces filled with worry. The reality begins to sink in. Their deputy, someone they relied on, might not be coming back, and the fear of what that night might have taken from them grows heavier with every passing moment. As darkness falls again, divers are brought in to check the shallow waters near the dam. They suit up with tanks, masks, and lights. The water is cold, murky, and filled with debris from years of storms. Teams go down one by one. Visibility is nearly zero. Silt rises with every movement, making it impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. Divers sweep the riverbed slowly, running hands along rocks and debris, searching for any sign of the cruiser or the deputy. Hours pass. Every dive ends the same way, empty-handed. The water hides whatever it may be holding. When the divers surface, they are exhausted. Their faces are pale from the effort and frustration. Reporters swarm them, microphones held out, hopping for answers. "If she's down there," one diver says, voice tight with tension, "we can't see her." Another adds, "We've searched everything we can. There's nothing." The statement sends a chill through the crowd watching from shore. The hope that had carried the community through the day now feels thin. The water, dark and silent, seems to be guarding its secret. As days pass with no new evidence, the town begins to fill in the blanks with speculation. Whispers echo in diners, gas stations, and on street corners. Some people say Deputy Carter ran away. Maybe she was tired of the job, tired of life, and decided to vanish. Others refuse to believe it. They know Linda. She was dedicated, loyal, and never would abandon her post or her family. A few townsfolk suggest a darker possibility, that she was ambushed. Maybe someone she arrested or confronted had followed her that night. Maybe they forced her off the road, or worse. Fear spreads like wildfire. Inside the sheriff's office, detectives hear similar rumors. Some whisper about corruption in the department, claiming Linda might have uncovered something dangerous. Others suggest she had a secret affair, maybe even a lover who helped her disappear. Every conversation seems to lead to a new theory. Local bars become hubs of debate. Patrons argue over what could have happened. People repeat stories they've heard, exaggerating details. Every rumor feels plausible to someone. The media gets wind of some of these claims. Headlines speculate on possible corruption, secret relationships, and revenge. With each passing day, the case becomes less about facts and more about fear and imagination. For the family, the rumors are cruel. Friends call with theories they don't know are false, hopping to help, but only adding to their pain. The lack of concrete information allows the imagination to fill in the gaps, and the gaps are dark, terrifying, and endless. The town's peaceful rhythm is broken. No one knows who to trust. No one knows what really happened to their deputy. The whispers grow louder than the facts, and every day the mystery becomes heavier, pressing down on everyone connected to her. Inside the sheriff's office, the missing deputy weighs on everyone. Her fellow officers can't focus. Every patrol feels empty without Linda's presence. Every call reminds them she's gone. Some deputies blame themselves. They replay the night over and over. Could they have checked the dam faster? Could they have done something differently? The guilt eats at them. Others lash out. Tempers flare over small mistakes. Frustration replaces the usual camaraderie. The department, once tight-knit, begins to fracture under the stress. During brief breaks, deputies sit in silence, staring at radios that won't respond. The office feels colder, emptier. Files on other cases sit untouched because everyone's focus is on finding Linda. Even seasoned officers admit privately they are afraid. They've faced dangerous criminals, high-speed chases, and violent situations before, but nothing has shaken them like the disappearance of one of their own. At night, some officers patrol alone, looking toward the dam, hopping for a glimpse of her cruiser or a sign that she is safe. None comes. The strain is visible in their eyes, in their posture, in the way they speak to each other. Bonds built over years of service begin to crack. Fear and uncertainty replace trust. Every conversation circles back to the same question: where is she? Every day that passes without news crushes Linda Carter's family. Her husband sits by the phone, waiting for a call that never comes. Her parents check the mailbox, the roads, and the news, desperate for any clue. They call the sheriff's office constantly, pleading for updates. Deputies offer reassurances, but there's nothing concrete. The lack of information feels like a betrayal. Friends try to comfort them, but even kind words can't fill the empty space left by her absence. The family begins to feel abandoned by the very system she dedicated her life to serving. Late at night, her mother stares at her bedroom, imagining what could have happened. Her father walks the roads she used to patrol, hopping for a glimpse of her cruiser, a sign, anything. The unanswered questions pile up. Where is she? Is she hurt? Is she alive? Each day without answers chips away at hope, leaving a hollow ache in their hearts. Weeks turn into months. Volunteers and officers continue searching, but each day brings the same emptiness. No cruiser is found. No body is discovered. No evidence appears. The initial frenzy slows. Helicopters no longer circle every night. Flashlights no longer sweep the dam and woods. People begin to return to their lives, but the shadow of her disappearance lingers. Rumors persist. Some townsfolk whisper that she ran away. Others insist foul play was involved. Every conversation carries the tension of the unknown, but certainty is gone. For the family, hope fades. Each passing day feels heavier. The phone remains silent. Reports from officers grow sparse. They are left with grief and doubt. The sheriff's office continues to monitor tips, but nothing new comes in. The community learns to live with the fear and the questions that cannot be answered. The dam, once a quiet backdrop to the town, now seems like a dark reminder of what happened that night. Shadows and silence replace clarity and comfort. The mystery grows. People stop actively searching but never forget. The town begins to whisper more than it believes, holding onto fragments of a story with no ending. Linda Carter's disappearance becomes a scar on the community, a reminder that sometimes, even those sworn to protect us can vanish without a trace. In the weeks following Deputy Linda Carter's disappearance, The town begins looking for someone to blame. Attention quickly turns to her husband. People recall arguments they had overheard, late-night fights that seemed tense but ordinary at the time. Neighbors whisper that he knew more than he said. In restaurants and at the gas station, conversations inevitably circle back to him. Was he angry? Someone asks. Did he push her too far? Another murmurs. Police begin questioning him carefully. They ask about the night of her last shift, about any fights or disagreements, and about his alibi. He answers every question calmly, explaining where he was, what he was doing, and who he spoke to. Detectives search for evidence, threats, calls, any clue linking him to harm, but nothing surfaces. No fingerprints, no recorded arguments, no witnesses that confirm foul play. Still, the whispers don't stop. The town is small, and gossip travels faster than fact. People want an explanation. The idea that someone close to her could be responsible feels like a story that fits. Inside the family home, tension grows. Linda's husband must live with the suspicion of the entire community. Friends and relatives offer support, but the strain is clear. Every knock on the door, every phone call, reminds him that suspicion never sleeps. Even without evidence, the idea that her husband might have had a role in her disappearance becomes a shadow over the family. It is one of the first cracks in the town's perception that sometimes the danger comes from the people you trust the most. Inside the sheriff's department, rumors start to circulate too. Some deputies suggest Linda may have uncovered things she shouldn't have. Maybe bribes, maybe illegal drug money, maybe secrets meant to stay hidden. It's a quiet talk at first, whispered in offices and over coffee. Then it grows. People wonder, did she threaten the wrong person? Did she report something that got swept under the rug? Could someone inside the department have a motive to silence her? Detectives review old cases she worked on. They look for anything that could link her disappearance to corruption. Some files show suspicious activity, but nothing conclusive. The lines between coincidence and intent blur. Even among friends in the department, tension rises. Some officers look over their shoulders, afraid of what might come out. Others quietly hope the investigation proves nothing, so the department can move on. The public doesn't know about these whispers yet, but inside the sheriff's office, the seed of doubt spreads fast. Who can be trusted? Did Linda uncover secrets someone wanted to keep hidden? Theories multiply. Maybe she stumbled on embezzlement. Maybe she caught a fellow officer taking bribes. Or maybe she got too close to exposing something bigger. Each suggestion adds fear and suspicion, making it harder for anyone to know what really happened. The department begins to fracture. Private conversations replace public statements. Each rumor adds weight to an already impossible situation. And while the search continues outside, inside the office, deputies wonder if the people they trusted the most could be hiding the truth. As the weeks drag on, a new theory begins to take hold in the town. Maybe Deputy Linda Carter left on purpose. Some people suggest she had a secret lover. Others whisper that she was tired of the pressures of the job and wanted to escape the badge. These rumors spread quietly at first, in bars, diners, and at the grocery store. But they grow louder with every retelling. People begin to question everything they thought they knew about her life. Did she have secret meetings? Did she plan an exit carefully? The idea enrages her family. Her husband refuses to speak to anyone who suggests she ran away. Her mother yells at the neighbors who repeat it. She would never abandon us, she says again and again. She dedicated her life to this town. Even her colleagues struggle to understand how this story gained traction. Linda was loyal, hardworking, and loved her job. She was the kind of officer who would never shirk responsibility. To suggest otherwise feels impossible. But despite logic, the theory persists. People cling to it because it's easier than accepting a darker possibility. If she left, there's a reason, a choice. If she didn't, then she vanished without warning, and that thought terrifies everyone. The media picks up on the theory too. Headlines speculate about a missing deputy with possible secret motives. Viewers across the state begin to form their own theories. Some say she was in hiding. Others believe she was running from danger. Her family faces constant pain. Every question from a reporter, Every conversation with a neighbor is a reminder that the truth remains unknown. Each day without answers only strengthens the runaway story in the public mind, even though the people who know her best refuse to believe it. Meanwhile, inside the town, the rumor reshapes relationships. Friends doubt one another. Some officers question their colleagues. Conversations are tinged with suspicion, making a mystery even darker and more complicated than it already is. The runaway theory may be false, but it takes root in the minds of many. It becomes part of the story the town tells itself, as they struggle to understand how a deputy could disappear without a trace. Detectives begin following every tip, no matter how small. Reports of Linda seen across state lines are investigated. Phone calls claiming she's safe in another town are traced. Even supposed confessions from strangers are checked. Teams visit abandoned cabins, drive along back roads, and search motels. Every lead is followed with careful precision. Deputies knock on doors, check rooms, and speak to anyone who might have information. Hours of investigation turn into days. Each tip collapses into nothing. The cabins are empty. The motels have no record. The sightings are false. Every lead, every clue that could have explained her disappearance fades into air. Despite the dead ends, detectives keep working. They know the case cannot be ignored. The town and her family rely on them. But with every false lead, frustration grows. The mystery deepens, and the shadow of doubt continues to stretch over the county. Months after Deputy Linda Carter vanished, two men come forward claiming responsibility. Both step into the sheriff's office with serious expressions, ready to confess. The first man says he saw Linda by the dam and did what had to be done. Detectives listen, take notes, and ask for details. They follow up immediately, checking his story against known facts. Within hours, inconsistencies appear. His timeline doesn't match. Locations he claims to have been are proven wrong. The confession falls apart. A few weeks later, another man comes forward. He says he disposed of the cruiser in a nearby river. Detectives bring him to the dam and have him show them where. He hesitates, struggles to recall details, and eventually admits he never saw the deputy. Another dead end. The false confessions frustrate everyone. Detectives waste hours chasing these lies. Search teams are redirected. Officers retrace areas that have already been scoured. The media reports the confessions, stirring false hope among the town. Each time a confession fails, it leaves a heavier weight on the case. The family is briefly pulled into hope, only to have it crushed again. Friends and neighbors become exhausted by the constant waves of rumors and fake leads. Detectives grow tired and wary. They learn to question every claim, but they can't ignore a possible lead. They balance skepticism with duty, knowing that even a lie could hide a tiny truth. The hurricane of misinformation spins out of control. False confessions, sightings, and rumors cloud the investigation. Every day spent chasing these stories feels like lost time, but abandoning the search is not an option. The case stretches longer, deeper, and more confusing than anyone could have imagined. With each dead end, the mystery becomes harder to solve, and the shadow of Linda Carter's disappearance grows darker over the town. Years later, a retired detective reflects on the case. He calls it a hurricane of lies and blind alleys. He remembers the frantic searches, the volunteers combing fields, and the endless tips that led nowhere. The deeper they dug, the more tangled it became. Every lead created another question, every rumor another dead end. He recalls reviewing files late at night, trying to connect sightings and confessions. Each clue seemed promising at first, but the trail always broke apart. The case consumed time, energy, and hope, but yielded nothing concrete. The detective regrets the false leads that wasted resources, but he also knows they had no choice. Each possibility had to be investigated. Every false confession, every tip, had to be treated seriously. Looking back, he says the case was a lesson in frustration. Even seasoned officers could be caught off guard when a person disappears without a trace. Every mistake, every rumor, every shadow complicated what was already a painful mystery. For the family, he knows the years were unbearable. For the department, the stress left lasting cracks. And for the town, the story became legend, a tale of hope, despair, and endless questions. He admits quietly that even now, decades later, he still thinks about Linda, about the cruiser, the dam, and the mystery that refused to end. The case became part of him, a reminder that some disappearances never truly leave a community, no matter how many lies and dead ends surround them. Years pass, but her family cannot move on. At birthdays, a chair remains empty at the table. On holidays, her place is carefully set, a silent reminder of what they have lost. Every occasion brings a mixture of hope and despair. They imagine she could walk through the door any moment, smiling and safe. But that hope collides with the harsh reality of her absence. The grief is constant. Her parents check the driveway, the roads, and even the dam as if she might suddenly appear. Her husband drives by places she once patrolled, scanning for any sign of her. Family friends try to bring comfort, but their words feel hollow. No explanation, no news, no closure comes. Every unanswered question adds weight to the empty spaces in their home. Despite decades passing, they cling to the idea that she could still be alive somewhere. That thought keeps them going, even as the years stack grief upon grief. Her name continues to echo in every room, every conversation, every memory. Linda Carter's presence is felt in absence, a haunting reminder that sometimes hope and sorrow live side by side. Even as theories multiply, one belief never fades in the town: her patrol car has to be somewhere. People refuse to accept that it simply vanished. In bars, diners, and kitchens, locals whisper, "They just missed it. It has to be nearby." Some claim it might be hidden in the woods. Others suspect the dam or a creek. Every place someone suggests becomes a new point of focus. Officers return to old search sites, walking the same roads, scanning riverbanks, and retracing every possible route. Volunteers check abandoned cabins, sheds, and barns again. The effort is exhaustive, but the cruiser remains elusive. Each day without discovery adds tension. Conversations are dominated by speculation. Did she swerve into the water? Was she chased? Did someone move the car? No one has answers. Even decades later, the memory of the cruiser haunts the community. People drive past the dam, glancing toward the water as if they might finally see it. Townsfolk recall the night she disappeared, the calls for help, and the searches that turned up nothing. The mystery deepens with every passing year. Without the cruiser, no confirmation exists. Theories clash, rumors persist, and the uncertainty spreads like a shadow over the town. Yet the shared belief remains: the cruiser exists somewhere, and finding it would unlock the truth. Until then, everyone waits, everyone wonders, and the story of Deputy Linda Carter continues to grip the county, holding it in suspense for years, maybe decades, to come. By the early 1990s, the case of Deputy Linda Carter is all but forgotten by the outside world. New sheriffs take office, promising change and renewed focus, but none manage to uncover fresh leads. Detectives who worked tirelessly in the early days retire, their files packed away in storage boxes. Every report, every tip, every witness statement collects dust on shelves. The urgency that once consumed the department fades. The dam remains quiet, still guarding its secret. Search areas are rarely revisited. Helicopters no longer sweep the skis, and volunteers have long returned to their normal lives. Despite decades of effort, no evidence emerges. The absence of the cruiser, her body, or any clue leaves the case unresolved. Each day the files remain untouched, the trail grows colder. The town tries to keep faith in the system, but even officers admit that time is against them. The mystery deepens with every passing year, and the case slowly becomes part of local legend, whispered about more than actively investigated. Life moves forward as it always does. Businesses reopen, children grow up, and families continue with their routines. Yet in quiet moments, her name returns. Residents speak of Linda Carter in hushed tones. Her disappearance becomes the wound that never healed. The dam, the roads, the sheriff's office, all remain reminders of what was lost. Even as new generations grow up, they hear the story of the deputy who vanished without a trace. It shapes the town's identity, a silent reminder that some mysteries can linger for decades. People carry on, but the shadow of that night never fully disappears. Every time another woman disappears in the region, Linda Carter's case comes back into conversation. Residents discuss similarities, patterns, and what might have been missed. Even when police insist there is no connection, locals can't help but draw parallels. Conversations in diners, at gas stations, and around kitchen tables return to her name. The whispers grow louder. It could be the same person, some say. Others suggest the dam might be linked. Even decades later, people try to make sense of the mystery, looking for answers that never come. Her disappearance becomes a point of comparison for every unexplained vanishing. Linda's name echoes in the background of each new investigation, reminding the town that her case remains unsolved. Linda Carter's family refuses to accept silence. They continue to call, visit, and attend meetings with officials. Every discussion ends the same way. There's nothing new. Frustration builds into anger. Her parents demand that officers reopen searches, review old files, and take fresh steps. Her husband insists on answers that the department seems unable to provide. They feel betrayed by the very system Linda dedicated her life to. Every year without news deepens the wound. Every holiday and birthday is a reminder of what they have lost and what they still do not know. Despite repeated setbacks, the family presses on. They speak to reporters, attend town meetings, and contact investigators from outside agencies. Their persistence keeps the case alive, even as decades pass. The anger is personal. They are not only grieving, they are fighting for justice, for recognition, and for the truth. They refuse to let her disappearance fade into a forgotten file. As the years drag on, frustration in the town grows. People begin to whisper that the sheriff's office is hiding something. Some claim the department made mistakes and wants to cover them up. Others suggest corruption, that certain officers knew more than they admitted. Some even fear a deliberate act, that the truth about Linda Carter's disappearance is being buried alongside her cruiser. These rumors spread quickly. Conversations in bars, kitchens, and workplaces are filled with speculation. Every missing clue, every unanswered question fuels the theory that someone inside law enforcement is keeping secrets. The family hears these whispers and is torn between anger and disbelief. Did the department fail her? Or are the rumors false, born from frustration and grief? Regardless, the story grows darker in the community's imagination. Every new rumor adds another layer to the mystery. People begin to wonder if they will ever truly know what happened, or if the truth has been hidden away all these years. Alongside the rumors, superstitions begin to grow. Some locals whisper that the dam is cursed, a place that swallows anyone who gets too close. Teenagers dare each other to visit at night, holding flashlights and laughing nervously, as if testing the legend. They tell stories of shadows in the water and strange sounds echoing through the concrete. Even adults, when alone near the dam, feel unease. The tragedy of Linda Carter's disappearance becomes entwined with the structure itself, turning the dam into a symbol of fear and mystery. The cursed dam becomes part of the town's identity, a dark landmark tied forever to the missing deputy. For nearly 2 decades, the disappearance of Deputy Linda Carter casts a long shadow over the town. Life goes on, but the mystery is never far from people's minds. Even as families celebrate birthdays, open new businesses, and welcome children, the unanswered questions linger. Residents glance at the dam or the roads she once patrolled and remember the night she vanished. Conversations often circle back to her case. People speculate about what could have happened, who might be responsible, or where she might be. Theories mix with grief, creating a constant, low hum of anxiety in the community. Officers who once worked alongside Linda carry the weight of her absence for years. Every new investigation of a missing person is compared to her case. The unsolved mystery becomes a measure for all other disappearances, a benchmark of fear and uncertainty. Even newcomers to the town hear the story. They are told in hushed tones, "This is the deputy who vanished without a trace, whose cruiser was never found, whose family still hopes for answers." The dam, the roads, the empty chair at family gatherings. Each is a reminder of what was lost. The community's collective memory keeps her story alive, but it also keeps the fear alive. No matter how much time passes, the mystery hangs heavy. People move on outwardly, but the shadow remains, as if waiting for the day someone will finally uncover the truth. It is early 2004. Engineers at the dam schedule a routine maintenance dive. Equipment needs checking. Concrete walls must be inspected. No one expects anything unusual. Mark, a professional diver with years of experience, prepares his gear. He checks his oxygen tanks, verifies his flashlight, and secures the weight belt. Everything is standard procedure. He has done similar dives hundreds of times. Crew members brief him on the tasks. They review safety protocols. They talk about currents, visibility, and the areas to inspect. No one mentions any past incidents. The dam has been quiet for decades, and no one thinks of the missing deputy. Mark suits up in his thick black wetsuit. The water looks calm on the surface. The sky above is clear, the sun just rising. Everything seems ordinary. He steps carefully onto the platform at the edge of the dam and signals the crew. With a deep breath, he slips into the water. Cold hits him immediately. The surface closes above him as he descends. Light diminishes, swallowed by murky water. His flashlight cuts a narrow beam through greenish silt. Mark begins the inspection, checking the dam walls, measuring cracks, and scanning the bottom for debris. His movements are methodical. The team on the surface monitors him closely. Minutes pass. Nothing unusual appears, just the murky, still water and scattered rocks. Then, somewhere in the distance, a shadow catches his eye. Something doesn't belong. He moves closer, his pulse quickening. The shadow has shape. It is solid, flat, and unlike any natural rock or debris. Mark signals the surface crew, pointing to the object. For the first time, the ordinary dive feels like a discovery, though he cannot yet comprehend what it is. The dive has changed from routine to urgent in an instant. Mark descends further into the cold, murky water. The dam's bottom seems endless. Silt rises in small clouds with every kick of his fins. Visibility is almost zero. His flashlight barely penetrates the darkness. The water is thick with decades of sediment. Each foot deeper feels like stepping back in time, into a world untouched for 18 years. The usual calm of a maintenance dive vanishes. Every shadow seems larger, every shape suspicious. He sweeps his light across the floor, searching for cracks or broken concrete. The dam is quiet except for the muffled sounds of bubbles and the rush of his breathing. Mark's eyes scan for anything out of place. Small debris floats in the current. Twigs, rocks, and trash lie scattered. But then his light catches a faint metallic glint beneath layers of mud. He slows, his heart beats faster. Something unnatural rests on the bottom. It is flat, rectangular, and rigid. Not a rock, not driftwood. He kicks closer, careful not to disturb too much silt. The shape becomes clearer. The diver realizes it is large, much larger than any ordinary piece of metal. It seems heavy, unmoving, and deliberate. He signals the surface crew, but the words cannot convey the shock he feels. Every instinct tells him to proceed cautiously. This is not part of the inspection. This is something buried, something lost, and something secret for 18 long years. He circles the object slowly, his beam slicing through murky water, revealing edges coated with thick mud. The shape is unmistakable. Mark feels a chill, not from the cold water but from the realization of what he is seeing. The object is too precise, too structured, too deliberate to be anything natural. He hovers above it, heart racing. The routine dive has become the discovery of a lifetime. As Mark sweeps his light across the bottom, he freezes. The shape is undeniable. Flat, angular, and metallic, it lies beneath layers of mud. His pulse quickens. It is the roof of a car. The outline is unmistakable. The body of the vehicle rests wedged under the dam structure. Years of silt and algae have hidden it completely. Mark checks his depth and the stability of the area. He signals the surface immediately, using prearranged hand signs. The crew sees the motion and reacts instantly, alerting emergency responders. He hovers, staring at the car. It could not have been there by accident, or could it? Questions race through his mind. How long has it been here? Could this be the missing deputy's cruiser? Every second feels heavy. Mark's training keeps him calm, but the weight of the discovery presses down. The routine dive has unveiled a secret that no one expected. He examines the car from every angle. Mud obscures windows. The water is still. The vehicle has been untouched for decades. He imagines the shock when it is finally pulled from the dam. Mark ascends slowly, marking the location for a proper recovery. The emergency crew prepares to bring up the cruiser. News will spread quickly, and the town that waited 18 years may finally get answers. Mark hovers closer to the object, sweeping his flashlight over the mud-covered surface. Slowly, details emerge. Faded blue paint, a cage divider in the back, emergency lights encased in grime. His chest tightens. This is no ordinary car. This is a police cruiser. Memories of news reports, missing person posters, and years of unanswered questions flood his mind. Could this really be the long-lost vehicle of Deputy Linda Carter? The thought sends a chill through him. He examines the doors and windows. The shape of the front grille and the worn tires confirm what he fears and hopes at the same time. This is the same type of cruiser she would have been driving that night in 1986. Mark checks the structure around it, making sure nothing will collapse if he touches it. Every movement is deliberate. The vehicle has been here for 18 years, undisturbed, buried beneath silt and debris. He feels the weight of the moment. For nearly 2 decades, the town has waited, searched, and speculated. And now, in the dark water of the dam, he sees the truth staring back at him. He exhales slowly, trying to steady his racing heart. The dive has revealed the secret that has haunted an entire community. Mark grips his radio tightly, shaking from adrenaline and cold. He speaks carefully, knowing he must be heard. "There's a vehicle down here. It's a unit," he says, voice trembling. The words barely come out. His mind races, but training keeps him focused. The surface team freezes for a moment, then reacts. Panic mixes with urgency. Spotlights flick on, scanning the water. Engineers, deputies, and divers rush to coordinate. Phones ring, radios crackle. Mark's signal guides boats into position. The magnitude of the discovery hits everyone at once. For 18 years, the deputy's cruiser was missing, buried beneath the dam, unseen. Now it has been found. Emergency plans kick in. Divers organize ropes and harnesses. Boats position themselves to lift the vehicle safely. Every movement is precise. Nobody wants to disturb the scene before investigators arrive. Mark remains in the water, watching the crew scramble. He feels a strange mix of pride and dread. This is the moment the town has been waiting for, the reveal of a mystery that has haunted families, officers, and residents for nearly 2 decades. News spreads quickly. Reporters arrive, helicopters hover above, and locals begin to gather at a distance. Every action is amplified by the weight of history. Mark's hands tighten on his flashlight. The water is still, but the dam has come alive. Emergency crews work tirelessly, knowing that every minute counts. This is no longer a routine inspection. It is the center of a story that has captivated an entire community. Within hours, the dam is crowded with people. Rescue divers, deputies, engineers, and emergency personnel swarm the area. Spotlights cut through the night, reflecting off the water in harsh, bright lines. Boats circle the dam, their engines low and steady. Cables and harnesses are positioned for the upcoming lift. Every detail is coordinated with precision. The scene feels like a crime drama come to life. Deputies shout instructions. Divers prepare equipment. Engineers consult blueprints. The water that has held a secret for 18 years suddenly commands complete attention. Reporters take positions on the shoreline. Cameras focus on the dam. Helicopters hover above, and microphones capture every sound. The discovery is monumental. The town, the state, and even national news are about to witness a long-lost mystery being revealed. Mark surfaces, cold and exhausted, but alert. He points out the cruiser's location and provides guidance to the recovery team. Every movement is tense. The water is murky, and every second counts to ensure the vehicle and any evidence inside are preserved. Locals gather at a safe distance, eyes wide. Some whisper prayers, some whisper theories. Everyone knows that what is about to happen will change the story of the town forever. The dam, once quiet and unassuming, now feels alive. It has held its secret for nearly 2 decades. Tonight, it is finally giving it up. Divers brush away decades of mud and silt. Slowly, a set of numbers emerges on the license plate. Mark leans closer, holding his flashlight steady. The plate matches the records perfectly. This is the missing deputy's cruiser. 18 years of questions, rumors, and grief come rushing back in a single instant. The town's nightmare, the family's sorrow, the officer's frustration, it all begins to make sense. Rescue crews work carefully, documenting every detail. The car has been preserved under the water, hidden but intact. Windows are foggy, the body covered in layers of time, but the identity is undeniable. Mark signals the surface team, his hands trembling slightly. They exchange glances, knowing this is a discovery that will change lives. For almost 2 decades, no one knew where it was. And now, at last, the answer is visible, tangible, undeniable. The discovery is both shocking and heartbreaking. It marks the first real step toward closure, not just for the investigation, but for a grieving family and a community haunted for years. News crews arrive at the dam almost immediately. Cameras roll. Reporters speak into microphones, their voices carrying across the water. Deputy's car found after 18 years, one headline reads. Helicopters hover, filming the operation from above. The story spreads like wildfire. National outlets pick it up within hours. Photos of the mud-covered cruiser appear online and on television. Social media buzzes with disbelief. People from across the country follow the story, amazed that a mystery so old could finally have a tangible lead. Locals gather at a safe distance. They watch the lights, the divers, the emergency crews. Many whisper prayers, some silently cry. After nearly 2 decades, the town sees proof of what they feared and hoped. Her cruiser has been found. Families of other missing persons see the story and feel a mix of hope and heartbreak. The discovery reminds everyone how fragile life is, how easily someone can vanish, and how long answers can take. The town begins to process what this means. Officials start planning recovery of the vehicle. Investigators prepare for a detailed examination. The license plate, the body of the car, and its contents will finally tell the story that has been waiting 18 years to be revealed. For the first time in nearly 20 years, the mystery is no longer just a rumor or a ghost story. There is a physical, undeniable presence, proof that Lynda Carter's cruiser existed here all along. Cranes groan as thick cables wrap around the mud-covered cruiser. Slowly, painfully, it rises from the dark water. Layers of silt slide off, revealing the familiar shape of a patrol vehicle. On shore, crowds gather. Locals, deputies, reporters, and emergency personnel stand in tense silence. Many have waited 18 years for this moment. The air is thick with anticipation and disbelief. The vehicle emerges fully, dripping and battered, yet unmistakable. Spotlights catch the reflective badge on the hood and the worn police decals along the side. People whisper to each other, some trembling, some holding back tears. The dam that has guarded this secret for nearly 2 decades now gives up its ghost. Photographers snap pictures. Journalists call in live reports. Every camera angle shows the same undeniable truth. The cruiser of Deputy Lynda Carter has returned. Even those who never knew her feel the weight of the moment. A mystery that haunted a town, a department, and a family is finally tangible. The vehicle, once lost beneath the water, has come back to the surface. Investigators approach the vehicle with caution. Doors are carefully pried open. Mud and water pour out, carrying decades of silence with it. Inside, the first shocking sight appears. Skeletal remains are slumped in the driver's seat. They are fragile and covered in years of grime, but every feature points to one person. Beside the remains, her badge rests on the seat. Her service weapon lies within reach. No doubt remains. This is Deputy Lynda Carter. The mystery of her disappearance, which stretched across decades, is suddenly undeniable. The room fills with silence. Officials take a moment to compose themselves before beginning documentation. Every photograph, every note is precise. They know this is more than a recovery. It is proof of what happened so many years ago. Emergency responders struggle to hide emotion. For the family, if they could see this, it would be a moment of devastating clarity. The cruiser, once lost, has finally revealed the truth. Forensic experts work quickly but carefully. Dental records, personal items, and the badge all point to the same conclusion. After analysis, they confirm the remains belong to Deputy Linda Carter. Every detail matches, leaving no room for doubt. The missing officer's identity is officially verified. After 18 years, the family's worst fears are confirmed. The hope that she might still be alive is gone, replaced by the undeniable reality of her death. The community reacts with a mix of grief and relief. Finally, the mystery that has haunted everyone for nearly 2 decades has a confirmed answer. The discovery allows the town and her family to begin the long, painful process of closure. News of the discovery spreads quickly. The town is stunned. People gather near the dam and in the streets. Some cry openly. Others stand silently, unable to process what has happened. Vigils are held. Candles flicker in the evening breeze. Flowers, photographs, and badges are laid at makeshift memorials. Residents speak quietly, sharing memories of the deputy and her dedication. The shock is not only about her death. It is the knowledge that she had been under their feet, hidden for 18 years. Some feel haunted by the thought. What if they had driven past her car hundreds of times without realizing it? The community struggles to reconcile the relief of discovery with the grief of confirmation. She is gone, but finally found. The mystery that dominated conversations, fueled fears, and haunted families is no longer invisible. Investigators retrace the events of that night in 1986. They examine photographs, maps, and witness statements. They note a critical fact: the dam road had no guardrails. One miscalculation, a skid on wet pavement, or a momentary distraction could send a vehicle straight into the water. There are no signs of forced entry, no evidence of foul play. The cruiser could have slipped silently off the edge. Simulations and forensic reconstruction support the theory. The angle of entry, the position of the vehicle, and the lack of defensive marks all suggest an accident. It is plausible, even likely, that Deputy Carter simply lost control and plunged into the dam. For officials, this explanation fits the evidence. It is tragic, sudden, and heartbreaking. A dedicated officer, gone in a single, preventable accident. Yet for many in the town, the theory is hard to accept. Despite the evidence, many residents refuse to believe it was an accident. Whispers grow louder. She may have been chased. Someone could have forced her off the road. Some speculate she was silenced for knowing too much. These suspicions linger in bars, kitchens, and neighborhoods. Every detail of her life, every call she responded to, is dissected. People replay old rumors and theories, trying to make sense of 18 years of uncertainty. Even some officers privately question the official account. They respect the investigation, but the idea that a trusted deputy could vanish without any struggle feels impossible. For the family, hearing these whispers is painful. They want closure, yet they cannot fully escape the lingering doubt in the town. The accident theory may explain what happened physically, but the emotional truth, the betrayal, fear, and grief, continues to ripple through the community. The story that began with a disappearance in 1986 now includes a tragic accident, but also decades of suspicion and disbelief. The mystery is partially solved, yet in people's minds, questions remain. Some locals insist Deputy Carter carried secrets no one will ever uncover. They speculate about what she might have known: corruption, threats, or investigations that never saw the light of day. With the cruiser recovered and her remains confirmed, the physical mystery is solved. But the emotional and social questions linger. Why her? Why that night? How much did she know, and who might have wanted to keep it hidden? The town debates quietly, sometimes loudly, in homes, bars, and workplaces. Each theory has supporters and skeptics. Some accept the accident explanation. Others say the evidence leaves room for doubt. For her family, These whispers are both frustrating and impossible to ignore. Even after 18 years, the sense that pieces of the story may have been lost with her remains keeps a shadow over their grief. Officials declare her death an accident, papers print the ruling, investigators close the case. But the debate in town never ends. In coffee shops, kitchens, and bars, people argue over what really happened. Was it fate, a tragic mistake, or something darker? Even decades later, the conversation continues. Some cling to hope that the truth is more complex. Others accept what the evidence shows. The community remains divided, haunted by the deputy's story, and by the questions that will likely never be fully answered. Nearly 2 decades after she disappeared, Deputy Linda Carter is finally laid to rest. The town streets are lined with officers in full dress uniform. Hats are removed, hands raised in salute as the hearse slowly passes. The procession moves with solemn precision. Residents watch in silence, some holding candles, others standing with heads bowed. Flags flutter lightly in the breeze. The quiet is heavy, filled with grief, respect, and the weight of years spent wondering. Cars follow behind, carrying family, friends, and colleagues. Every face reflects a mix of sadness and relief. Relief that at last she has returned to rest, and sadness that it took 18 years to arrive at this moment. Cameras capture the scene for historical records, but they cannot capture the emotion that grips the community. The missing officer is gone, yet the memory of her courage and service remains vivid. The town pauses together, united in mourning, honoring a life dedicated to protecting others. It is a final act of respect, a farewell long overdue. At the graveside, her family gathers, faces etched with pain, hands clutching each other for support. They watch as the casket is lowered into the earth. Tears fall freely. Parents, siblings, and close relatives struggle with grief they have carried for 18 years. Every birthday, every holiday without her comes rushing back in that moment. Yet there is a strange peace. They finally know where she has been. The questions that haunted them for nearly 2 decades begin to find answers, even if only in part. The family lays flowers atop the casket. They place personal items, a badge, a photo, a note, symbols of love, honor, and remembrance. For a moment, the weight of uncertainty lifts. Though sorrow remains, knowing her resting place allows them to grieve properly. They can speak her name aloud without the ache of unanswered questions. The community surrounds them, offering quiet support. Officers, neighbors, and friends stand respectfully, witnessing a family's long goodbye and the final act of a story that has haunted them all. The sheriff's office issues a statement. Deputy Carter's death is ruled a tragic accident. The file is formally stamped closed. Investigators document the evidence. Photos, reports, and forensic notes are archived. For official purposes, the case is complete. Yet many know some questions will remain unanswered. Locals whisper theories. Some officers privately wonder if there is more they will never learn. The mystery that gripped the community for 18 years may never fully vanish. For the family, the official closure is both relief and sorrow. They have certainty at last, even if it came decades too late. The town begins the slow process of moving on. Her name is added to memorials. Her story, her courage, and the mystery of her disappearance are recorded for history. Even after the case is officially closed, tension lingers. Some in town blame the sheriff's department for not finding the cruiser sooner. They argue that more thorough searches or faster action could have prevented years of uncertainty. Others point to the dam itself. The road lacked guardrails in 1986, they say. The steep drop and narrow lanes made it a dangerous place for any driver. They insist the infrastructure, not negligence, is to blame. Bitterness spreads quietly. Conversations in homes, workplaces, and community gatherings turn into debates. Old fears mix with new frustrations. Officers who served alongside her feel the strain, knowing that despite their dedication, they cannot satisfy everyone. Families and neighbors argue, some quietly, some openly, about who or what is truly at fault. The debate becomes part of the town's memory. Even with closure, blame remains a shadow. People struggle to let go, wrestling with the tragic accident and the lingering what-ifs. In diners, bars, and late-night kitchens, arguments continue. Some swear it was an accident, pointing to evidence and reconstruction. Others are unconvinced. They whisper that someone could have forced her off the road, that foul play may have been hidden for years. Theories mix with frustration and grief. Even decades later, the conversation persists. Residents relive the night in their minds, imagining what might have happened. Every detail of the dam, the cruiser, and her service history is examined and debated. The mystery, though officially closed, remains alive in memory. The town cannot entirely let go of the questions. People want answers they may never get. Deputy Carter's name is finally engraved on the memorial wall for fallen officers. The polished stone reflects the sunlight, a permanent tribute to her service. Colleagues, friends, and family gather to honor her. Some place flowers, others salute quietly. The inscription ensures that her story, courage, and sacrifice will never be forgotten. The memorial becomes a place of reflection. Visitors pause to remember the deputy who disappeared, the mystery that haunted a community, and the eventual closure that brought both grief and peace. Her name etched in stone symbolizes respect, remembrance, and the town's commitment to never let her legacy fade. Though questions remain in whispers and debates, the memorial guarantees that she will always be remembered. For the community, Deputy Carter's disappearance remains a deep scar. Even after her cruiser is found and the case is officially closed, the memory lingers. Parents tell the story to their children, warning them of the dangers of the dam road and the fragility of life. Neighbors recall the late-night searches, the flashing lights, and the endless uncertainty. Bars, diners, and kitchens still echo with whispered theories and debated details. Her story becomes part of the town's history, a tragedy, a cautionary tale, and a mystery that refused to vanish. Every year, anniversaries of her disappearance bring memories rushing back. Residents pause, remembering her courage, her service, and the mystery that dominated conversations for decades. The town cannot forget. Even with closure, her name, her story, and the questions surrounding that night remain woven into the community's identity, a permanent reminder of a life lost too soon and a mystery that will never fully fade.